So what is the Lightcap now?
Yeah, so
exactly.
Yeah, the you know, and that's funny. One of the things I did another book reading, and I decided to read different passages this time because I wanted to read stuff that I thought was a little more interesting, but unfortunately I didn't get to read some of the more like backstory stuff. So the main character works for a company called AdaptTech, and their main product is called the Mind Drive. They're called domes, is what everybody calls them on the street, just because Mind Drive is kind of ridiculous thing to say over and ever. I changed it about halfway through the book as I realized that I had written the word Mind Drive like probably 500 times. I was like, you gotta come up with some kind of name for it. So the dome is just a small plastic device that you put on your head, and once you're wearing it, you can control virtually all electronics with the power of thought alone. You don't have, it's not like voice recognition, like it is literally you just think it and it happens. So if I were at home and I wanted a cup of coffee, I would just think to my coffee maker, I would like a cup of coffee, and it starts making a coffee kind of thing. Cool. Yeah, right. Really pretty cool. So as you can imagine, a product like that, it's like wildly popular consumer electronic product. Everybody loves the ability to control electronics through the power of their mind. So they sell like hotcakes. Everybody has one, and then so they are continually updating it, just like all other consumer electronics. They always want to have a later, new version, newer and better. So the main character works on the project that's developing the next version of this Mind Drive, and they're told that there's like it's presented to them as, oh, we've been having issues with corporate theft and like people are copying the product. They're making unauthorized devices, and so we've got a mole somewhere that's leaking this information. So because of that, we need you to wear this new device while you're working on this project, and the device is the Lightcap. And the Lightcap, what it is they put it on when they come to work, they wear it the whole day, and they take it off. And so everything that they do during the time that they're wearing the device, they're told that it just makes them forget. So the idea is that if you can't remember something, then you can't sell it. They've come to find that the Lightcap is a little more complicated than what they're originally told, of course, because it would be a really boring story if it was exactly what you expected it to be. And it allows a number of other features, let's say, maybe including the ability to drive somebody like a puppet. So they find that they're being forced to do things that they would not do otherwise, and Adam, the main character, starts to remember some of the things that they're making him do. And once they find that out, that's kind of like game over at that point. They try to kill him. He escapes, and that's what kind of leads into the grand confrontation at the end. So, cool. Anybody else? Questions?
So are the Blues the only law enforcement of any kind?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It is. There are no regulations in this society. And so, in my opinion, the end game of having no regulations is almost complete monopolization in every different area, right? Like the whole idea of, in my opinion, and I admit that I'm very biased in that I'm not a fan of capitalism, but in my opinion, I think that the idea of like pure, unbridled, unrestricted capitalism, it's inevitable that it would result in just vast monopolization, because that's the whole idea of capitalism, is that you either put your competitor out of business or you absorb them. And so, yeah, eventually there were a few competing companies, and through backroom deals and what have you, maybe some plain old-fashioned hard work even somewhere in there, one company ended up on top. So.
Unrelated to the book. Well, I mean related, but
sure,
unrelated,
yeah.
not a question.
Yeah.
Have you heard about? They have these flight simulators that they read your brainwaves, and then you can attempt to fly. I don't know.
All based on real technology, man. Yeah, like that's actually. I'm a big nerd. Like I love that kind of stuff. Honestly, I think that we're really on the cusp of an amazing time. I think that there's a new product that just got released called the Leap Motion. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is a device that is, gosh, there's not even anything here that's small enough to show what this device is. It is like, it's like that basically. It's about that big. It's about the size of an old flip phone. That's a good comparison. Thank you. Yeah, like the size of an old flip phone. It's just a small device that you sit on your desk, and then once it's sitting there, it recognizes your hands, and so you can then manipulate things on your computer. It can even recognize individual fingers. So like I think that once we see those kinds of inputs become available, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of things people can do with that, especially in conjunction with. I don't know if you guys have seen the new like Google Glass product. It's basically it's a device that you wear. It's like glasses. It's a small screen that's mounted in front of your eye. And so imagine, if you will, a screen that's mounted in front of your eye that has the ability to project images almost as if they're in 3D. And then you've got another device that's able to recognize the motion and the movement of your hands.
Didn't they
and
have
so,
that in Star Trek?
Well, Iron Man. Iron Man
wasn't there like the guy that goes?
Yeah. So like an Iron Man. If you guys have seen the Iron Man movies, where Tony Stark is like, he's wearing he's got a little glove, I think. But you won't even need those because it's getting to the point where they can recognize the hands without any sort of gloves or anything like that. And so you're going to be able to manipulate virtual objects that appear as if they were real to you, because you will have a screen mounted in front of your face that is essentially projecting that box or whatever it is that you're manipulating. And then I think after that, I think that the next big thing is going to be thought input. I think that it will. I firmly believe that someday it will be to the point where you won't have to have a keyboard. You won't even have to move your hands. You won't have to speak to your computer. You will just, which is kind of scary to think about, because if you imagine like the office of the future, it'll just be a bunch of people just sitting in rows, just blindly staring at their machines, not speaking, not moving. It's a little creepy. It's almost like robotic in a way.
Yeah, that's the day that has ADHD.
Yeah, maybe for you.
It's not really janitors.
That's funny. That's actually so.
They'll be exercising.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard her. She said porn pops up because like you have it's like a thought cross your mind or whatever.
Nerdy dude.
I was just saying,
gross.
that's the day that all of us ADHD people have to become janitors.
It's really funny.
No way.
I thought about that because I'm the same way. I'm easily distracted. Like if I'm trying to work on something, and my big thing is motion, but I know a lot of people are distracted by all kinds of things. So in writing the book, one of the things that I talked about, and again, it's not a part that I read, but toward the beginning of the book, as it's kind of introducing the world and like the history of that world, they talk about, because at the time that the book takes place, they're on version 5 of this MindDrive product. So they've had 4 versions before that, and the prototypes. So like the device has been around for a while, like 20 years at this point. It's not a new product, but the current version is only a few years old. And so one of the things that they talk about is that the first versions, like the prototype versions, they weren't very good at distinguishing. It's called extraneous input, right? So you're walking down the street and you're composing an email. Somebody walks in front of you. He or she has a nice butt. Maybe your email says "nice ass" in the middle of the email, right? Like that's not ideal for like a quarterly business meeting or something. So in future revisions of the product, in order to counteract that, they built in. I called it context-aware AI, which the idea being, and this is not a new idea at all. I mean, this is like a real thing. And in fact, there's a local author named Will Hertling. If you're into like artificial intelligence and those kinds of stories, definitely check out. He wrote a book called Avogadro Corporation that deals with an artificial intelligence that essentially starts as a context-aware AI. And what this means is that like the artificial intelligence would have the ability to gauge the validity of your input based on what it is that you're already doing. So if I'm at work and I'm sitting there and I'm writing an email and I think boobs, like it's not gonna like pull up a picture of breasts or like penis or whatever.
If you're sitting there leaning back in your chair and you're thinking about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, in this world you would be fired if you did that. So I wouldn't recommend it, because people that get fired end up on the streets, and it's hard on the streets. People die on the streets.
There are still janitorial positions, right?
No, not really. Think about like Roombas, Just think about like Roombas everywhere.
I don't like their future, sir.
If your book was made
that's why it's called a dystopia, not a utopia.
If your book was made into a movie, who would play Adam?
Who would play Adam? I think that originally I had a different person picked out, but I think Alan Tudyk would have to play Adam. This is the guy from Dollhouse, like Alpha. He's in Serenity.
Oh, okay. Why?
Dodgeball, that's the pirate.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that too.
Dodgeball's the pirate.
Yeah.
Who
Anybody
really
else?
good as Alpha?
I was gonna ask, can I play Sarah Bellum?
Gosh, I don't know. Probably
talked about
like Olivia Wilde. Yeah, Sarah Bellum is one of the. You're not really sure throughout a lot of the book whether she's good or bad. Sort of like an ambiguous character that she is brought on to supervise this project that they're all working on, and she's sort of an enigma. She, like most people in the future, have a lot of information online, and she's got nothing. Like the main character is kind of intrigued about this woman, and he tries to look her up on the internet, and nada, which is just very odd. I mean, really, I think even in today's day and age, it's very odd to like not have any information online. Mm-hmm. Even people that don't do a whole lot of stuff online, if you look them up, you'll still be able to find info about public records, in their name. I mean, that's the nature of the connected world that we live in, is that even if you make an effort to not leave fingerprints on the World Wide Web, it's inevitable unless you're just a total separatist. I mean, Ted Kaczynski living in a shack somewhere, or like maybe Amish, I guess. But even Amish, if you own property and you're on a deed somewhere, then that means your name is on the internet. Like your name is on a public record search on the internet.